One, two, three, four. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia Championship round number 4, live here from Fuji. Oh boy, if this music isn't going to get you in the mood for some racing, I don't know what will. As you can see, lots of personnel making their way to this very famed circuit. It is 2.8 miles, 16 corners of absolute ecstasy. As you can see on the front row of your grid there, on the left-hand side of your screen, it is the absolute racing car of Chris van der Drift, making his debut in the series for this season at India last time out. Well, he got himself a couple of race wins and puts himself in 5th in the championship, but today is on pole position for race number 1 of the weekend. So very, very impressive stuff indeed. I hope I find you well, wherever you are watching from around the world, but this should be a very nice race indeed. 23 entries in total for today's championship. I will try and go through everything as best as I possibly can to make sure that your viewing experience is the best it possibly can be. So as you can see, everybody just getting themselves ready on the grid. We're a little bit delayed today. We were delayed by about 10 minutes. So expect the start time to maybe be a little bit later, but you're seeing the footage on your screens right now, so you know exactly when it's going to go. And the best thing is we do have cars on the grid. It is nice and sunny here, although there is the lurking cloud. Of course, it is Fuji. Anything is possible in terms of weather, but look how long that start finish straight is, over 1 kilometer long there, from that turn number 16 Panasonic corner down towards Daiichi turn number 1, and that is going to be the best overtaking opportunity around this circuit, that is for certain. So as I said, we have got 23 cars. We're about to go through the grid with our cameras as well, so you'll get to know exactly who is racing out there and who is not. In terms of who's starting, there's a lot of teams have got 2 drivers, of course, and they will have to swap those drivers during the pit stop phase of the race, the mandatory pit stop that they all indeed have to serve. But yeah, that will be decided once they cross the line. So we'll get that on the timing screen, and then we'll know exactly who is starting in the car. So what I'll do is I'll name both the drivers to start off with things when we go across the grid. Here is your pole sitters, though. It is for Absolute Racing, Chris van der Drift. As I said, a debut for this season, last time out, and well, got 2 race wins. Has looked very, very strong from that outing for sure. Make sure you let us know in the chat who you're rooting for as well. Let us know where you're watching from around the world. And let's have a bit of fun this morning or this afternoon, wherever you are. So that is your pole sitter then. Porsche Carrera Cup Asia champion. Second in the Porsche Carrera Cup Asia in 2023. Championship winner in the TCR New Zealand for Chris van der Drift as well. And then joining them on the front row, so number 99, we've got Yu Motojima, and we've got Shinzuki Kono racing for Promotion Racing in the number 99. First time we see them for this season as well. Go a bit further back. And there is the number 8 for Arrows Racing. They actually start on the 4th row of, the 2nd row of the grid, in 4th position, should I say. Although it looks like they've been changed there. So there is then the number 63. So I think DW Evans GT might have been dropped down a position here because they were marked as 3rd on the grid. Here is the number 32 then of Honchio Leong and Miki Kiyama for SJM Iron Links Theodore Racing. They will start then in 5th position. Then there's the number 6. Again, written down as 7th position on our grid, but it looks like they've been shuffled up 1 position. Kai Shun Leo and Wei Lu for Madness Racing Team. And then there is the number 56. So Nicholas Pirolati and Thomas Yuli for DW Evans GT. The number 77 next is up for us. That is Shiji Hong and Jin Yang Hee for Madness Racing Team. In the electric blue car here, the number 24 for Yasser Shahin in the Absolute Racing Machine. Watch out for this car. It's Kadam Poo racing for the number 90 YK Motorsports by Star Performance. Watch them come through the field. As well as the number 11, Gavin Huang and Jonathan Chicotto racing for the Arrows Racing Team. Looks like Gavin Huang will be starting and then Chicotto will be in 2nd. Then we've got Johnson Huang and Vincent Tai for the Arrows Racing Team next to them, joining them on that row in the number 51. So keep an eye out for the 2 red cars. Then we've got the number 7, Hawan Liu and Ji Young Song for Vortex Racecraft. Nice wave there to the camera as well. Next up then, it is the number 71. It's Super Chai. Next up, then, we've got the number 95 for the 610 Racing by Absolute. And then we've got Sitiluk Boucheron in the number 78 in the True Visions Motorsport Thailand. Then we've got Haziq Zarel and Hari Zarel racing for HZO Fortis Racing in the number 5. They are currently leading the Lamborghini Cup Series as well. In the number 27, then, a bit further back, as now we realize we're about to start racing, so the camera guys are working as hard as they possibly can to get this as quickly as they can. There's the number 33, then, a little bit further down the grid. Kumar Prabhakaran racing for SJM Iron Links Theodore Racing, the 2nd of the Iron Links teams. 83, then, is down a bit further back. Chi Min Ma. And then we've got Stephen Chian for Arrows Racing in the number 98. And then we have the number 58, or sorry, should I say 68 there, of Cam Lung Racing. Kenneth Lau, Chak Tung Betram Lau as well for the Cam Lung Racing team. So there we go. The grid has been vacated for the most part. I'm seeing a lot of people talking about how they want to see the prettiest car win this race in the chat right now, live on YouTube. And well, yes, it's very true. There's so many pretty cars on this grid that it could be any single one of them. As you can see, this is the 2024 Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia. We are here at, well, Fuji, one of the fastest race circuits in the world. They are going to be heading from their top speed down to a very slow speed in towards turn number 1. Maybe one of the harshest braking zones in the world of motorsport. Will certainly be the harshest braking zone that they will have to deal with in terms of this season. It is very fast, very frantic for the first 2 sectors, and then the final sector is as technical as it comes. So it is a serious, serious challenge for our drivers today. It's the first of 2 races that we will have this weekend as well. So we will have another one at the same time tomorrow for your viewing pleasure. So yeah, just the final checks being done here, and then we will be off and ready to rock and indeed roll. A full formation lap before we head into a 50-minute race. But it is star of the show last time out in India, Chris van der Drift. The Kiwi is the driver to watch out for then. And there is the live timing screen. You get a little look behind the curtain, ladies and gentlemen, because that's exactly what I get given. That's the information I have on my screen right now, and you guys get to see exactly what I'm looking at, which is very, very rare. So now you've just been given a little look behind the curtain. Watch out, though, for the Arrows Racing team down in P12, the pro entry, number 11. You would imagine they will come flying through the pack because qualifying has not gone as well as they would have expected. We are ready to indeed get cracking here. They've had the final warnings. Everybody now off the circuit. Just marshals there, and we are off. So Chris van der Drift will take them away down in towards turn number 1. And here is your official grid then. Chris van der Drift is on P1. We then have the Promotion Racing team in second. In third then is DW Evans GT with Arrows Racing joining them on the second row. We've then got Grit Motorsport in 5th position. And then we have the SJM Iron Linked Theodore Racing team rounding out your 3rd row. Madness Racing Team and DW Evans GT are on the 4th row. On the 5th, then, Madness Racing Team and Absolute Racing. We then do indeed have ourselves Cat&Poo in 11th position, and we have Arrows Racing in 12th spot. The YK Motorsports team by Star Performance in 11th, by the way. Then we have a little bit, well, I can't read that fast, I'm afraid. But yes, as you can see, we have Arrows Racing then in 13th, Vortex in 14th. We have then got Ciangas Corsa and 610 Racing as your 8th row. True Visions Motorsport Thailand and HZO Fortis Racing team by Absolute Racing round out your 9th row on today's grid. And last but not least, we have Harmony Racing and SJW Iron Links Theodore Racing and in 19th and 20th. Then we have Arrows Racing and Arrows Racing in 21st and indeed 22nd. And then we have the Cow Lung Racing outfit in 23rd position. So 23 entries for today's or this weekend's action as we come through the chicane at the back end of, or should I say the middle of sector number 2, which is turns 10, 11 and indeed 12. Really does halt proceedings as we head through turn number 13. And now into maybe the toughest set of corners in motorsport because of the camber, because of the undulation, because of the way it is so wide into the final corner. There's an opportunity for people to send one up the inside and potentially make moves. So that will be the place that we will see people making overtakes, I would imagine. As we head then round that final corner, they will now bunch up and go 2 by 2. Can Mr. van der Drift, can Chris van der Drift make it 3 from 3? He's only done 2 races so far this season. Managed to do those races at Inya last time out. And he's put himself in the championship hunt if he maybe goes out there and gets wins every single round this season for the number 84. We're about to go green light racing here. We're about to run off down towards that start-finish line and the long run down towards turn number 1. Just waiting for those green lights to indeed appear. Everybody on the limiter as it stands. We're just waiting for them to get going. Oh, the patience on these drivers is absolutely ridiculous. There we go. And we get a great look at the green lights as we do indeed go racing down towards turn number 1. And it is not a good start from our race leader or our pole sitter as we get an absolute send down the inside there from, it looks like the number 65. And they have got into the lead. And well, Van der Drift, if he's going to win this race, is going to have to do it from 3rd position as he's already dropped down 2 spots there as we see the medical car in the background. It's 4, maybe even 5 wide there. But they were just slightly off of each other there. So it wasn't technically that wide, but they were using all of the track and maybe even a little bit more there. So Daniel, Philip Wells and Emilian Carde in the DW Evans GT car, whichever one has started this race, well, it's actually Daniel Wells. So Daniel Wells has taken the lead of this race. Fair play then. Motojima is in 2nd and Chris Van der Drift has dropped down to 3rd as we see some more scurrying for position a little bit further back, then heading towards the chicane of turns 10, 11 and 12 for the very first time. And it looks like everybody's got through very nicely indeed. So Daniel Wells has had an absolute monumental start here. He's going to be buzzing with how that's gone down. And well, he's just looking back at his mirrors now, hoping that there's no real charge from anybody a bit further back there. So yeah, brilliantly done. It is Yuya Motojima in 2nd position, and it will indeed figure itself out once we get across that start-finish line. So the hardest part of the circuit to go through the final sector, and well, it's been done perfectly well, hasn't it? The DW Evanses, we've got 2 cars facing the wrong way a little bit further back. Hopefully they get to sort themselves out, and we don't see any kind of safety car. Again, it remains to be seen exactly what's happened with those 2, but I'm sure we'll get a look at a replay at a very minimum. So across the line we will go then, and it is indeed Daniel Wells that leads the way. It is Yuya Motojima, Chris Van der Drift in 3rd position. Changwoo Lee moves up to 4th then. We've got Jazaman Jafar in 5th position, Piralati. We've then got Hon Chiu Long. We've got Gavin Huang, and we've got Shiji Hong, and then we've got Haowen Luo as your top 10 as it stands. We all make it our way through turn number 1. Nicely. Oh, there's a spin there. There is a big spin there. It looks like that's going to be Kenneth Lau, who's just run slightly on the curb on the inside there. I'm not sure there was any contact, but unfortunately they are going to drop down the order, although they were currently in P20 anyway. So it might not have been there. It might be the 32, actually. It looks like more likely the SJM Iron Lynx Theodore racing car. 2 very similar liveries indeed. But we got on board with our race leaders, and it's been a dream start then for the DW Evans GT entry coming towards the chicane. In the middle part of this circuit, there's turn number 10, heading now through towards turn number 11 as we get the mountains in the background. And wow, it has been an absolute worldie of a start. Brilliantly done. And they are currently 2nd in the championship, both of them on 61 points, only 5 points behind Leong and Kiyama. So Leong and Kiyama, as it stands, are only down in P7. So this is a brilliant opportunity for potentially for Daniel Wells and Emilian Carde to take the lead of the championship. So they just need to drive away at this point, as that is definitely not what you want to see on lap number 2 of any race there. Unfortunately, Kumar Prabhakaran, who was in 20th position, has got a very damaged, that's a blowout for sure. That's a hole in the tyre, ladies and gentlemen. That is a big hole in the tyre, and that will be their race pretty much done and dusted, unfortunately, as we go then back towards our leaders of this race. And Daniel Wells still in the lead then. Yuya Motojima still in 2nd. Chris Van der Drift is in 3rd. We've got then Johnson Huang, who's dropping down the order. By the looks of things. Sorry, no, it's Super Chai. It was Super Chai that was facing the wrong way, unfortunately, earlier on in this race there. So Super Chai running in the number 71. So that was the spinner we saw through turn number 1. Chang Woo Lee then for the SQDA Grit Motorsport is in 4th position. We've then got Jasmine Jafar in the Arrow Racing car as we again go on board with our race leaders. So yes, this does have championship implications. 6 rounds in this championship, where of course there is 12 races. We head to Shanghai next time out, and then we're at Jerez for the finale of the season. But yeah, Daniel Wells and indeed Emilian Cardi, who will get into the car with a big opportunity here to get huge points, 15 points in the offering, and maybe push themselves ahead of Honchio Leong and Miki Kiyama. Well, we know that Miki Kiyama will be chasing, and Emilian Cardi will definitely feel the heat once they get into the car. Wow, the sounds of these cars, by the way. Wow. You get to hear them at their absolute loudest as well. It's the longest straight. It's the highest speed that they'll travel all season long. Front 3 separated by very little right now. Then you've got, again, Chang Woo Lee, the AM driver in 4th position. A real standout performance from Lee as it stands. He's currently 2nd in the championship by 4 points. So yeah, a big opportunity then for Chang Woo Lee, because right now Nat is only in P10. So Nat is only in P10 as we see the fastest lap being produced there by Dan Wells. So Dan Wells has got the fastest lap. He's got a 1:43.862. So a very, very good lap time indeed there from Dan Wells. But nothing is really changing at the front there as we go on board then with Hon Chio Leong in that number 32, currently in 7th position. These are the championship leaders. So this is the championship leading team as it stands. And they are 2nd in the team's championship. Absolute Racing lead out with 80 points in the team championship. But yeah, in terms of the Pro Series, these are the championship leaders down all the way in 7th position. So in terms of the pros, that's 4th position. So there's 2 cars between P2 in the championship who are leading this race, and indeed P1 who are down in 7th or 4th in the pro class. So now we're running again through turns 10, 11, and indeed 12. Dan Wells with a very, very nice buffer here. Yuya Motojima under all sorts of pressure from Chris van der Drift. So Chris van der Drift looking to try and get themselves involved in a run for the lead of this race. Seems like, well, there you go. Look how close it is. It is so close then between our P2 and indeed P3. Are we about to see a potential move? The Absolute Racing Machine in 3rd position, of course, leading the team's championship. But they've had different drivers so far this season. So yeah, with Chris van der Drift earlier on in the season, they had Marco Giltrap and Clay Osborne. Of course, they've managed to get themselves 3 wins out of 4 potential wins in the championship. So that's why the Absolute Racing car is leading the championship. But with different drivers, of course, winning the Drivers' Championship becomes very difficult if you're not racing each and every week. Looks like Nat then has moved up into 10th position. So they were in 11th, but now they've moved up into 10th position for the YK Motorsports by Star Performance. So a really nice job done there, up towards getting up towards the higher positions in the top 10 if they make a couple more positions. So again, getting a lovely look here through turn number 2. Now we're heading down towards turn number 4, and Dan Wells has got a really nice gap to work with now. So Motojima has not been overtaken. No, so Motojima has held on. Chris van der Drift will stay in the car for the entirety of this race. So you would imagine that van der Drift will fancy his chances over the course of the full race time here. But is doing a fairly good job as it stands. Dan Wells, this is a great opportunity. How far can Dan Wells get up the road? That really is the question here. How far can Dan Wells get up the road and give to Emilian Carde? He needs to give Emilian Carde the best possible chance for them to go out and win this race, taking a nice wide entry. And here is your championship leaders then. Honchio Leong in the car. Miki Kiyama to get in. She will drive the 2nd stage of this race. You can see there how difficult it is to get the power down through that final corner because of the camber. It looks like we're going to have a nice dry race here. You can just see there's some blue sky with some cloud cover. But I'm not sure we're going to see any of that really take effect. A new fastest lap, by the way, for Mr. Dan Wells. Just managed to do a 43.706. That was on the previous lap. So 43.706 is now the best time that we have seen today from Dan Wells or anybody on the grid. It's the new fastest lap of this race. So as it stands, then the top 10 are as follows. Then Dan Wells, Yuya Motojima. We've then got Chris van der Drift, Chan Wu Lee. We've then got Jasmine Jafar for the Arrows Racing Team, the first of our Pro-Ams. Then we've got Nicholas Pirolati for the DW Evans GT car. That's the second of our Pro-Am. So the P5 and P6 are both fighting for that Pro-Am win. We then have the next of our Pro cars, Hong Chio Long, our championship leaders, of course, Gavin Huang in 8th. And then we've got the second and third cars in 9th and 10th of the AM Championship, Shiji Hong. And then we've got Nat for the YK Motorsports by Star Performance. Chang Wu Li, of course, for SQDA Grip Motorsport. Currently in 4th position in this race, but is leading the AMs. That is such an impressive performance as it stands. So really, really nice to see. Hopefully you're enjoying what you're watching. Ladies and gentlemen watching at home, I can watch the YouTube chat. I can see exactly who's getting involved. And let us know where you're watching from around the world as well. Maybe let us know who your favorite driver is, your favorite team. And again, hopefully you're enjoying what you are watching, wherever you're watching from around the world then. Chris van der Drift still struggling here behind Motojima and losing time to our race leader, which is Dan Wells. But there's a battle forming right now. I think Chang Wu Li is under some severe pressure. Are we about to see a potential move? No, sorry, it's Jasmine Jafar and Nicholas Pirolati. So Pirolati then is in the slipstream of that yellow and white Lamborghini. Is there the potential for a move, though, down towards turn number 1? Well, they are going to run side by side here. It looks like it's going to be defended nicely. So Chang Wu Li is just about going to hold on. And Nicholas Pirolati is going to have to live to fight another day. Then you've got Hong Chio Leong, who definitely want to get involved in that. So that's the perfect scenario right now. A few cars battling in front. And then we've got Leong that potentially can get himself a bit further up the grid because of that battling, as there's a back marker there. So that's a back mark traffic. I'm pretty sure that is the Kang Lung Racing Team. And actually, no, it might be Wei Lu for the Madness Racing Team, actually. So Wei Lu of the Madness Racing Team there being lapped. Or it might be a little bit further up, actually, by the looks of things. Yeah, it could be a little bit further up. A few cars now have been lapped. No, well, definitely wasn't. It was, it was a bit further down. That was indeed, who I thought it was. It's the Cam Lung Racing Team that were just being lapped there for the very first time. As you see, an absolute send a bit further down the grid order. And well, that was opportunistic and it worked out. Nice move indeed. As we go on board then with Leon. Currently in 7th position. Not really needing to do anything too crazy. Just make sure you keep yourself in this race at this stage. Don't do anything too silly. See, there is a battle happening for P2. Chris van der Drift and Yuya Motojima. Is Chris van der Drift managed to find himself an opportunity here? He is very close. There we go. So we're seeing the battle for P2. Dan Wells leads out, as you can see there, in that very, very lovely blue-coloured Lambo. Across the start-finish line we will go. And by the list of things, Chris van der Drift did get the job done then. So van der Drift does move up into 2nd position. So he's managed to get into 2nd spot. And how much pace does Chris van der Drift have? That is the big question now. Can he go down and catch up to the race leader? Now he's not behind Motojima. So we have seen a change for P2. And well, maybe Motojima has a bit more pace to potentially retake that spot. Maybe he has that pace to retake the position. No one else really making any moves here. Pirolati still holding on to that P6 from Leon. Huang currently in 8th position. Shiji Hong in 9th. And then we've got Nat in 10th position. Top 10 separated by about 17.8 seconds. There's a real nice battle between 9th and 10th right now. The battle between, of course, 2nd and 3rd. But then we have the battles for 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th separated by about 3 seconds. So it's very, very close at the sharp end. We are heading towards the period of the race where the pits will be open. So the pit stop phase is nearly open. As we're on board then with the number 5 car. They've made some massive progress here today. They're in the Lamborghini Cup class. They're leading the championship. They're in 13th position. And the nearest Lamborghini Cup car is 18th from them. But they actually started P18. So the Hari Zyril and Hazik Zyril, they have managed to get themselves up 5 positions in this race overall. But they've managed to put 4 cars between each other. So that's what's important. That's the most important factor in all of this, is that they've managed to put some cars between them. To be on board then, it is Dan Philip Wells still leading this race to Chris van der Drift. A gap now 2.4 seconds. And you can see visibly that Chris van der Drift is going to catch up. You've got to look after the tyres in this race. Can't do anything too crazy. As we see there, Leon closing right up to the back then of Nicholas Pirolati. So Pirolati maybe starting to struggle with his tyres. So we see there is some cloud cover. So that would be a little bit worrying. Again, Fuji is very similar to places like Spa, where rain can just come out of absolutely nowhere. So that will be a little bit worrying that there is some cloud cover out there. We're getting a lovely look, though, of the SJM Iron Lynx Theodore racing team. The number 32, Miki Kiyama, she'll be getting into the car. Former W Series driver, of course. She'll be getting into the car. Had a superb series so far. Again, Leon and Miki Kiyama both lead the championship. They're 5 points clear in the pro class. So, yeah, a big second half of this race needed, because P2 in the championship is Daniel Wells and Emilian Carde. Fun fact about Emilian Carde, I actually commentated on him in a Sim Racing MX5 championship last year. He's also competed in LMP3 over the last couple of seasons as well, and some GT4 action. But yeah, I managed to commentate on him in a little MX5 series on iRacing, and now we're going to get to see him racing in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia. I tell you what, Chris van der Drift has definitely caught up here. Dan Wells will be seeing a Lamborghini getting bigger and bigger. But the big story here is that Jazaman Jafar might be making a move here for P3, a Pro-Am overtaking a Pro. As we can see coming down across that start-finish line in the slipstream. How late do you dare to brake? I think it's done. So yeah, has it been done as of yet? No, it looks like it's all still yet to happen. So Jafar still then in P4. Yeah, definitely MotoGP holds on to that third position, but MotoGP starting to struggle with this car. Once he lost the position, it's been very unfortunate. We're about to see a move then from Leon. I think Leon might have just got ahead there of Pirolati as well. I think Leon's just sent one up the inside of turn number 1 and got the move done there. So that is a good progress, making up towards the leaders for the pro class with Leon. Next car, though, is Changwoo Lee, then it's Jazaman Jafar. So the two cars ahead aren't really going to affect how many points that a pro team are going to get until you get up towards the front three. So you've got MotoGP, Chris van der Drift and Daniel Wells, the pro cars at the top of the order. But there is Leon. Leon did make that move. There is Wells coming through the chicane. I must admit, when I race in my sim at home, I do prefer the layout without that chicane, but it does provide a little bit more of a challenge for these drivers to negotiate that chicane. It will hurt the tyres a little bit more as well. Looks like Yasser Shahin is falling down the order, unfortunately. Pit window is about to open as well in the next 3 minutes. And Daniel Wells is being caught big time here then. You can see that Chris van der Drift is very much underneath that rear wing nearly of our race leader. As the windscreen wipers were on there. Is that a tell? Is there the potential for some weather? Is that the potential for some weather? There's our front four. There is P5. So yeah, Jazaman Jafar did get that move done down towards turn number 1. We're about to see Nicholas Pirolati maybe retake the position on Leon. Look how close they are. And well, it's Ascend and Pirolati. Oh, very, very close for there being contact. Just about nailed it. And you can miss your braking point by 5 meters here, but just because of the sheer speed you are traveling down towards turn number 1, you can have a race-ending contact very, very quickly indeed. So you've got to be very careful there. But yes, Hon Chio Leong has moved up a position, but still under some severe pressure from Nicholas Pirolati. A bit further down the grid then, again, we're talking about Harry Zerol from the HZO Fortis racing team. They're the lead Lamborghini Cup championship car. There are 5 of those in total. Supercharged is up to P16, by the way, although we did see them through the pits earlier on. Then we have indeed Chi Min Ma for Arrows Racing, Stephen Chian for Arrows Racing down in P20, and then we have in P23 Kumar Prabhakaran, but their car is 7 laps down, so it looks like they're not in the race anyway, which is mighty unfortunate for them, of course. But what isn't unfortunate is the fortunes of Daniel Wells. Daniel Wells has managed to get a beautiful start in this race from third on the grid, sent one up the inside and towards turn number 1, and just hasn't looked back really. Obviously, Chris van der Drift, who was our pole sitter, did drop down to third spot. Momentarily, he had Motojima and indeed, Motojima in behind him at number 99. It took a fair few laps. It took about 7 laps to get into P2, but now they're in P2. They're absolutely flying. So Van der Drift definitely looks like the car to watch out for in terms of winning this race. Emilian Carde will get into the lead car for the number 65, the DW Evans GT team. Once they do indeed do their driver swap, there you go. There's the 2 names you can see there. But again, if they score more points today than Leong and Kiyama, who again are currently in P6 in this race or P4 in the pro race, then they would indeed take the lead of the championship. It's a big, big opportunity. So they need to have at least 1 car between them, and they would take the lead of the championship. The points go 15, 12 down to 10. So all they need is 1 car between them, and they would take the lead of the championship by 1 point going into tomorrow's race. So big opportunity then for Emilian Carde, who gets in the car. The Frenchman will be nervously waiting to get into the car as the pit window is officially open, ladies and gentlemen. So we're about to see some movement. And I'm wondering whether Chris van der Drift might just bring his car in just to indeed get the clear air. As there is the number 95. Kachow, if you know what I mean. That is indeed Juan Yu Li. The 610 Racing by Absolute. Looks like G will be getting in. Chi will be getting into the car. Wenjin Chi. So that's the first car to pit during the pit window. See the flashing of the lights there to denote that the pit limiter is indeed on. And this is where things get very, very frantic. Chris van der Drift is caught up to the lead by about 3/10 on that previous lap. As P4 are going to come through. That's a bit further back, actually. There's Jonathan Chicotto, who's going to be getting into his car in the Arrows Racing number 11. There's the number 27. So Stanislav Minsky is getting into the car there for the Harmony Racing team. They started P19 in this race. Be interesting to see where they filter in for the second part of this one. 28 minutes to go. So we're heading towards the halfway point. We've seen some pretty good action. Some really nice action. There is Jonathan Chicotto waiting to get into his car. Beware of Jonathan Chicotto. He's got some serious pace in this car. And expect them to come flying through the pack. Not the best of qualifying, unfortunately, starting on the 6th rotor grid in P12. But Chicotto will 100% be looking to gain some spots as soon as they possibly can. So 2 more coming through. So there is the number 51. That's Johnson Huang will put Vincent Tai into the car. This is the number 5 that started down in P18. This is the leaders of the Lamborghini Cup. Hazik Zarel and Hari Zarel, the HZO. But there is the number 51 car of Johnson Huang, Vincent Tai. They're changing over for the Arrows Racing. And this is where things just get crazy because there's some people are coming into the pits, others aren't. There is some of your leaders coming through. It just becomes a little bit ridiculous. So Danwell still leads. He stayed out. Chris van der Drift has gained another 0.3 of a second on that previous lap as well. And then we've got the Arrows Racing of Jasmine Jafar in P3. They stayed out as well. Changwoo Lee has moved up into 4th position, the lead AM car. We've then got Hon Chio Leong, who indeed have stayed out as well. They've got Nicholas Pirolati in DW Evans GT car. They've managed to move up a position as well because they've stayed out. Nat has stayed out as well for the YK Motorsports by Star Performance. So lots of cars have stayed out. Lots of cars have come in. It just makes the order very, very jumbled indeed. The only time we'll know exactly who's pit and who hasn't will be once we get to the 20 minutes left in this race mark, because then we know that everyone would have to have pit. That's rain. That is for sure rain on the camera there, and a very treacherous part of the circuit. So is that something to be worried about? Is it actually raining here? We might be having a very interesting ending to race 1 of the weekend because that for sure looks like spots of rain, and that looks like rain on the windscreen there of Daniel Wells and Emilian Carde. They've got some back markers to deal with. That means that the cars in behind are just catching up now. Chris van der Drift has caught up. For sure, that looks like we have got some rain then down at turn 17, the final corner. The front two have stayed out, and the gap's now, well, 1.1 second on the previous lap. Now it's going to be merely tenths of a second. Across the start-finish line they will go. And Daniel Wells right now has not got that big a gap anymore. 7/10 of a second. Jasmine Jafar and the Arrows Racing team are now 3.3 seconds off of the lead. So they've got back markers that are involved in the lead battle, which is not ideal. But from the information I've got here, I think that there might be a little bit of rain at the back end. There's the cloud there. So that cloud cover is covering the final couple of corners of this circuit. And here at Fuji, I think we've got rain in the final couple of corners. Is that worthwhile in terms of changing your tires? I don't think so. But it's just going to make things super, super tricky for our drivers. So you need to be very, very careful. Very, very careful indeed. You need to just keep yourself on the tarmac, on the dark stuff. This is, yeah, very interesting. This could get very spicy indeed, as Amaris has just said. And there is your lead battle. So they've got a back marker behind them. So yeah, this is not as cut and dry as it may seem. Do any of our leaders decide to blink with 4 minutes 20 seconds left of, well, I say, yeah, 4 minutes 20 seconds left of the pit window? Lots of information to take in. We're coming through the final few corners now. And there we go. There are our lead battle. Are we potentially going to see Chris van der Drift try and send one up the inside? Looks like whoever's operating that camera, by the way, is giving it a nice little wipe. And do we see one of our leaders decide to come in? The pressure may tell. And, well, there we do. We do see it. We do see P2 into the pits lane. Chris van der Drift wanting that clear air. And ultimately, it's Daniel Wells a chance now just to have a bit of freedom. No real pressure from behind. And can Daniel Wells now go and put in an absolute flyer of a lap? I think he has to pit after this lap. I'm not sure he can actually stay in the car any longer. So do not cross that pit entry line before the 20-minute mark. That will be it. So there's 3 minutes, 26 seconds left. I'm not sure you got enough time to do 2 laps there. It's going to be tight, but I'm not sure you got time to do 2 laps. And, well, he's going to be held up by traffic here. That is not good at all. That's Stephen Chian, the number 98 car that's currently down in P16. And that's just going to have cost them so much time. So, yeah, that's brilliant news for Chris van der Drift. Van der Drift will gain that time naturally through the pits just because he's not having to deal with that traffic. Stephen Chian, though, out of the way of everybody at this stage. Daniel Wells under some severe pressure from a back-marked car. Yeah, he's having to deal with that. I think that might be Boucheron. So that might be Boucheron that's right in behind Daniel Wells right now. As we head again through the final couple of corners. Daniel Wells leaves the door open up the inside. And I'll be very surprised if we don't see Wells bring it in. Actually, he might have one more. He might have one more lap here to be able to contend with. As we see how close they are. This is not a battle for the lead, ladies and gentlemen. It looks like it is, but it is absolutely not. And Daniel Wells does decide to come in. No, he's going to do one more lap. So one more lap then has been decided from Daniel Wells. One more lap has been confirmed. I'm trying to figure out exactly who that car is in P2. Well, not P2. Which car it is that's fighting at the front here. I think it might be Jonathan Chicotto. I think it might be in the number 51 car of Jonathan Chicotto. Or is Vincent Ty? It might be Vincent Ty. Yeah, it is. So it's Vincent Ty in the number 51. So he's a lap down, but lapping the same pace as our race leader, which is very impressive indeed. There is the number 8 car then. So Jasmine Jafar is out. Salim Rafiq is into the car then for the Arrows Racing team. So for the first time, we're seeing Rafiq in the car. They started this race P4. And I think pretty much everybody has to come in now. So coming around the final corner now. The next time you come around the final corner, if you haven't pit, you have to come through the pits. down towards turn number 10. See them edging towards the right. Then through 11 and now through turn number 12. We're on board then with Hon Chio Leong and Miki Kiyama, the number 32. It's now Miki Kiyama in the car. So Kiyama right now down all the way in P12. But again, there's a few cars that need to come through the pits. I expect Kiyama to be absolutely flying in this stint. So the last time I commentated this championship was Sepang, and Miki Kiyama was just lightningly fast. Lightningly fast. So there we go. Race leader into the pits. We get an onboard version of it as well. How aggressive is Daniel Wells, though? And well, the answer to that is yes. Very aggressive from Wells. And now it's Emilian Carde that comes in. So everybody will now have to come through. I think they're actually the last car to come through. So we're all good. Everybody will have pit now. And it will take a lap to figure itself out. And then we'll see exactly where everybody is placed. So from third on the grid up to P1. Where will they be at the end of the next lap? More importantly, where will Chris van der Drift be? Chris van der Drift, of course, was second, but right behind our leaders, came into the pits 2 laps ago, so managed to do an undercut, so to speak. There's no change of tyres, so it's a strange undercut, but it's an undercut all the same. But in terms of dirty air, yeah, if you're within the slipstream of a car in front around about a second or so, you're going to be affected by dirty air. To answer the question in the chat. So there are 2 things. In a straight line, the slipstream will, of course, help you. You'll go a lot faster behind the car because they're basically making a hole in the air, so there's less resistance on the car. But when you're going around corners, you lose downforce on the front of your car because of the air being jet washed, and it's very difficult to get the car turned. Here we go then. Emilian Carde was in the lead of this race with Daniel Wells when the pits phase opened. Have they managed to hold on to it though? That is the question. We're about to see the merge. They did have traffic to deal with. And where is Chris van der Drift? There is Chris van der Drift, I think. Chris van der Drift, I believe, is taking the lead of this race. We need to get that confirmed. So I think Chris van der Drift is in the lead of this race officially. But we will not find out until they cross the start-finish line next time round for us to get that on the live timing board. Oh, okay, drama here. Now it's just about keeping it on the straight and narrow. In terms of the championship, Chris van der Drift really isn't in the hunt for the individual championship. It is between Hong Chio Leong and Miki Kiyama, who would lead the championship with 66 points in the pros. And then we've got behind them Daniel Philip Wells and Emilian Carde. So those 2 are in second with 61 points. And if Daniel Wells and Emilian Carde were to finish 1 position ahead of Leong and Kiyama, so with 1 car between them, so 2 positions ahead, they would tie the championship. So it would actually become a tie going into tomorrow. So they would both be tied on points. So it's very, very close. But here is Miki Kiyama. There's some action a little bit further ahead as well. Miki Kiyama finding themselves in P7. You've got Jafar and Chikoto. I told you Chikoto will be flying through the pack. That was Jonathan Chikoto. Very, very close to the car ahead. I think Chikoto is battling with Jafar. But once this has all figured itself out, we'll see exactly what's going on. So I believe van der Drift is taking the lead of this race. Yes, so van der Drift now leads to Emilian Carde. And then in third position, is it Shinzuke Kono still for the promotion racing team? It is. So is that done and dusted? Who is in P4? Jonathan Chikoto is in P4 and lapping very quickly indeed. We've then got Chang Woo Lee. Miki Kiyama then is in P6. So right now there's 2 pro cars. So we've got Shinzuke Kono and Jonathan Chikoto both in between Emilian Carde right now, Miki Kiyama. So Emilian Carde needs to hang on and they might take the lead of this championship. It's going to be super, super tight. So in terms of points, no, actually they'd still be losing by 1 point. So as it stands, Kiyama and Leong would still lead the championship by 1 point, only 1 point. Van der Drift here looking to make it 3 wins in a row at the front of the grid, though. Hopefully I'm explaining this for you well. Hopefully you're enjoying watching the broadcast today, wherever you're watching from around the world. But as we get towards the second half of the season, of course, the championship is a big picture. We need to be discussing that big picture because it's exciting. It really is exciting. So it looks like everybody is lapped now down to P14. Everybody's lapped down to P14. And with 15 minutes, 40 seconds to go, I'm sure there's going to be a couple more cars to deal with. So right now, Chris Van der Drift leads the way by 2.7 seconds. Then there's a further 5.3 seconds to Shinzuke Kono for Promotion Racing, but they will be flying. They will be absolutely flying here. It's all about really how quickly can Emilien Carde get up to speed here. If he comes across the line, it was 2.7 seconds. It's now 3.8. So 1.1 second loss there from Emilien Carde. And actually, 1.1 second gain by Shinzuke Kono. Jonathan Cecotto has just gone and put in the second fastest lap of the day. So Cecotto right now is the fastest driver out on circuit. And he is only, how far is Cecotto back from the lead? He's about 12 seconds off the lead, maybe 15 seconds off the lead. He would not catch up. He would definitely not catch up to the leaders. But I think that Cecotto has got a genuine chance here of maybe second. I think Jonathan Cecotto could maybe get up to second position in this race. Monaca's driver. There's a big, big opportunity for him to go out there and get second position. And bearing in mind, they started 12th on the grid. That would be some performance from Cecotto. And Wells, though, will be hoping that Emilien Carde can hang on from Shinzuke Kono and indeed Cecotto in third and indeed fourth position. So, it's exciting. It's really exciting here. Emilien Carde just not quite getting up to speed too quickly, unfortunately. Excuse me. As we head again round that final corner. So sector time watch. In all fairness, Emilien Carde this time round is absolutely flying. So has managed to get up to speed relatively quickly. And that makes things a little bit more difficult for the group behind, although Jonathan Cecotto is still the fastest driver out there as it stands there. So Van der Drift over the line once again. Still holds on to the lead of this race with a 44.2. Across the line there for Emilien Carde. He does a 45.1 again, losing a bit more time. Shinzuke Kono is half a second faster than Emilien Carde. And I don't think that would be enough, to be honest. Jonathan Cecotto is just quicker than everybody still. 44.0. He is now only 4 seconds behind Kono. So, yeah, the lead group are very much closing in. In terms of the AM race, Changwoo Lee leads the way in the AMs, in the SQDA Grip Motorsport car. They're 5th overall in this race, but he is leading the AM Championship with 3 different class cars between them. Although, we've just got Pooh, who's made a move up to P8. So the YK Motorsport by Star Performance, Pooh has moved up into P8 and actually starting to close in on Changwoo Lee. In terms of lap time watch, a 45.0 for Changwoo Lee, and Pooh has just done a 46.3, so actually not closing in at all, losing time. I got too excited. I got far too excited. Just got a little bit too excited there, guys. There is Daniel Wells and Emilien Carde. It's Emilien Carde, the Frenchman, in the car in his debut season in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo. And as it stands, if he could just keep the pace that he's been producing, you see fighting the car, by the way, as we go on board then with Boucheron from True Vision Motorsports Thailand, the number 78, currently down in P15 in this race. But in terms of the AM class, he's down in P6. So P6 for Boucheron. But there is your race leader then. So it's looking like it's going to be 3 from 3 for Chris Van der Drift. Only raced 3 races this season, and it's looking like it's going to be 3 from 3. Emilien Carde now 5 seconds back off of Chris Van der Drift. But more importantly, only losing a few tenths of a second a lap to Shinzuke Kono. There's only 6 tenths of a second lost that time from Emilien Carde. And with 11 minutes to go in this race, that would not be enough. So Emilien Carde may be about to hang on here in P2, and it would be a tied championship going into tomorrow's race. So Leon Kiyama, Wells, and Cardi would be tied going into tomorrow's race, which is a really nice story. Really, really nice story indeed. Miki Kiyama currently down in P6. Even if Miki Kiyama overtakes Chang Wu Li, it doesn't make any difference to what in terms of points because they're fighting a different class. That's an AM car. As you can see, the number 83 now coming through the pits. That's Chi Minma for Arrows Racing. That is an unscheduled pit stop, so that is not good. Although it looks like they might be receiving a... Well, that is a penalty, isn't it? That is 100% a penalty. 4 second stop and go penalty for too short of a pit stop time. Well, that's one way of penalising environment. So much time because of just the sheer speed people are doing as you go past you. That is a 4 second time penalty. Stop and go for a too short of a pit time. They all have to serve exactly the same pit time in the pits, regardless whether they change driver or not. In the act of fairness, of course. 10 minutes to go in this race. Chris van der Drift still leads the way, 5.8 seconds. Lapping very quickly, not the quickest. We've just had a 43.9 posted by Chikoto. Chikoto now only 2.8 seconds behind Shinzuke Kono. And we're about to see Shinzuke Kono come under a lot of pressure. That is the question. Super Chai down in P19. We just saw becoming under a little bit of pressure as well, as there is some lap traffic to deal with. Nicely negotiated by Chris van der Drift. Get to watch them come through the shot there. That's them dealing with Stephen Chian. Actually, it was them dealing with Hazik Zyrel and, Harry Zyrel, who's in the car. Harry is in the car right now. And then we got a bit further back then, Emilian Cardes. Now 2.6 seconds. How much time did he lose? He lost half a second again. So right now, I tell you what, actually, Kono's going to catch up to Carde. It's going to take about 5 laps at the current rate of pace. But will Chikoto and Kono battling save Carde? That's the big question. Because Jonathan Chikoto is gaining by about 0.8 of a second a lap. So he's going to catch up to Kono in the next sort of 3 laps, I think, maybe 4 laps. And if Kono and Chikoto battle, Carde might just be able to hang on. Might just be able to hang on. Limitless Power watching this for the first time. Good to see you in the chat, guys. The championship is just very, very exciting indeed. In terms of the Pro-Am class, Jasmine Jafar and Salim Rafiq are going to get maximum points today, and that will close the lead in the championship, although it is really between Fang Ping Chen and Andrew Kuto, and then Thomas Yu Li and Nicholas Pirolati. The Yu Li right now will be getting the most points in terms of that battle. Yeah, they'll be getting the most points, and actually Kuto and Fang Ping Cheng are not even on the grid, are they? Of course, they're not here this weekend, so big opportunity then for Pirolati and Yu Li to take over the lead of this championship. Again, as you can see, the threat of the clouds coming over the mountain. It's a massive threat. We've seen that there was a little bit of rain earlier on around the final corner. We're coming up towards that corner right now. And yeah, the threat of rain... I say we're coming up towards that corner. Well, absolutely not. We're coming up towards turn 10, 11, and 12. So it looks very, very similar in terms of the entry point towards the final corner. But, yeah, the threat of rain, I think, is going to be warded off here. 7 minutes to go. Not sure we're going to see too much in terms of the potential there in rain. In terms of the AM class, well, Chang Wu Li, I think, is going to take the... No, they're not, actually. So I thought they were going to take the lead. The gap is 4 points between Nat and Pooh, who have both got 78 points, and then Chang Wu Li's on 74. But going into tomorrow, that gap will be cut to 1. So Chang Wu Li will be 1 point behind in the AM class. So in the terms of the Lamborghini Cup, well, that's almost sorted out. The Zyrels are absolutely smashing now. Absolute Racing are going to get maximum points today here as well. So the team championship is looking more and more likely it's going to be them that picks it off. But yeah, every single championship is changing by the looks of things by the end of today's race going into tomorrow. the race has got 6 minutes left to go, plus a final lap. So 6 minutes left to go, plus a final lap for you wondering how long's left to go. As we see some pretty ferocious battling there. That's Vincent Tai. Vincent Tai trying to find any kind of gap to maneuver. Not quite finding anything. They got Kai Shu Liu just in behind them as well. So yeah, Zhang He under a bit of pressure. Under a little bit of pressure. Are we about to see a potential move being made though? Not sure we are. So hear the grunt of the Lamborghinis. Oh, up towards the chicane here. Is there a potential for the move? Yeah, nailed. Absolutely nailed. Perfectly done actually in the end. As there is Mr. Kade. Kade is going to be very soon under pressure. Well, actually, it's going to be from Chikoto because Kono's lost the position. So Jonathan Chikoto has got past Kono on this lap, and he's off now to chase down a potential P2 in this race. What about Koyama? Koyama's not going to catch the lead group here. So big opportunity for Philip Wells or Daniel Wells and Emilian Kade to take the lead in this championship, or at least tie it up going into tomorrow. So across the line we come, and there is Emilian Kade. What's the gap between him and Chikoto though? Kono's lost out P3. How close is Chikoto? It's 3.9 seconds with 3 laps to go. I don't think there's enough time. But looking at lap time watch here, Chikoto lost a load of time on that lap because of the battling. And that's what I mean. I think Chikoto's got the pace to catch up to Emilian Kade, but the battle with Kono's cost him about 3 seconds. So that now makes it almost impossible for him to go and catch up and get that P2. But if anyone could do it, it's Jonathan Chikoto. He has been so super fast this season. So super fast this season. But we're coming up towards 4 minutes left in this race, so not many laps to go at all. Out of our 23 entries, we've got 22 on the circuit, one of them in the pits. Unfortunately, Kumar Prabhakaran on lap number 1 in the Lamborghini Cup Series, they had to DNF. So not a good start to the weekend for them. Qualifying's already done, of course, for both races. So the next time you'll see these cars will be for race number 2 of the weekend and race number 8 of the season. And that'll be exactly the same time tomorrow. So make sure that you subscribe to the Lamborghini Scuderia Corsa channel on YouTube. Make sure you turn the notifications on because you'll get notified as to when we go live. You can watch each and every race. We don't just have this region on this channel either. We have plenty of action from the Lamborghini Super Trofeo all around the world. So, Chris van der Drift across the line in P1. What about Emilian Kade and what about Jonathan Chikoto? That is definitely not 3.9 seconds now. The gap has come down significantly. What is that gap? So, Emilian Kade not having a good lap there at all. It's now 2.2, and with 3 laps to go, I think, by my count, I think Jonathan Chikoto could do this. Jonathan Chikoto, who started this race, well, he didn't start this race, but the team started this race down in P12 on the grid. Gavin Huang, P12 on the grid. There might be an opportunity of a P2, a 10-position gain here in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia, here at Fuji. And that would be some performance, and you'd be very hard to argue against them receiving my unofficial drivers of the day reward. Maybe you can let me know in the YouTube chat at home who you think should be your driver or drivers of the day. So Jasmine Jafar, quite far now off of the lead battle. They were right in amongst it earlier on. Thomas Yu Lee has just crossed the line there, P9. We've then got Zhuan Yu Li in 10th position. Xingyang He in 11th position. Kai Shen Liu is in 12th. Vincent Tai in 13th. And actually, it looks like Kai Shun Liu has just gained a position. So they've overtaken Xingyang Tai. As we round the final corner, 1 minute 35 seconds left to go. And there is your race leaders. They've just crossed the line. And look how close it is for P2. Chicotto is right underneath the rear wing. And I think it's going to be almost like taking a candy from a baby. There's a spinner there. That is a big spin. It looks like that might have been Chi Man Mia. Oh, you've got to be careful there. Got to have the yellows waving there. Leaders on the last lap. Emilian Carde is only 0.4 of a second ahead of Chicotto. So we need to be looking at these two. Can Chicotto get one more position? Or can Emilian Carde hang on for Daniel Wells? Daniel Wells from P3 went up to P1 and led this race until he went through the pit stop phase. Chris van der Drift pit 2 laps earlier, and in that undercut actually managed to get into the lead of this race. But Emilian Carde is going to be under some significant pressure for that position. Little spin there, the loopsy through turn number 1. And where is Emilian Carde? Where is Emilian Carde? We need to see whether he is managing to indeed hold on to that position. Looks like Van der Drift is golden. Van der Drift is going to hold on. Got a lot of backmark traffic to deal with here as well. Frantic action as we are on the last lap of this race. We're about to see the checkered flag, but really it is all about who's going to get second position in this race. It was super, super close between Chicotto and Emilian Carde. So we're about to see the checkered flag pop out and be waved around the final corner then for the race leader. And there is the checkered flag. It has been taken by Chris van der Drift. It's 3 in a row. And I think you'll find that Jonathan Chicotto did get into P2. There he is. So he has managed to track down Emilian Carde and get himself up to second position. That is so impressive. Huang and Chicotto started all the way down in 12th position. They're only 8 points off the championship lead as well, so that actually really does help them out. They will finish in second spot in the Arrows Racing team. Emilian Carde is going to finish in third in the DW Evans GT car. They've got the promotion racing team of Shinzuke Kono, who finishes in fourth then. So the top 4 cars are pros. And then our first AM car will be Chang-Woo Lee. And in terms of the AM class, they are currently second in the championship behind Nat and indeed Pooh. Pooh comes across the line as your 7th place overall, but second in the AM class. But that, for me, means that Chang-Woo Lee is now only 1 point behind in the AMs going into tomorrow's race. Very impressive stuff. So, yes, it will be. It'll be 1 point going into tomorrow. So, Miki Kiyama finishes in P6, P5 in the pros overall. And, well, that is massive for the championship lead. So, Leong and Kiyama, they're going to not lose the championship lead, I think. I think they're only leading by 1. But Chicotto has gained on them, and Huang's gained on them. Carde's gained on them. Wells has gained on them as well. And Chris van der Drift, well, he just keeps winning. Just keeps winning and gets the pole position awards as well. So, yeah, he's managed to get himself 17 points. And is there a world where Chris van der Drift does catch up near the end of this race? In 8th position, then, it's going to be Lee Juanyu. We've then got Jafar in 9th position. Thomas Yu Lee finishes in 10th. Kai Shun Liu finishes in 11th. Then we've got He Jingyang, Vincent Tai, Yasser Shahin, your top 14. We've then got Liang Jietong, Song Jiejun. We've then got Boucheron, Hazik Zyrel, Super Chai in 19th. 20th then for Stephen Chian. We've then got Chi Min Ma, and then Kenneth Lau as your 22 classified drivers. And then we have one driver that didn't finish, unfortunately. That was Kumar Prabhakaran. Oh, wow. I tell you what, you've got to throw it out there that Jonathan Chicotto has just driven the wheels off of that car. Didn't quite get the fastest lap of the race, though. No, that did go to Daniel Wells. He actually was a 10th quicker than everybody out there. So Daniel Wells did get the fastest lap, but remember, he had the fresh tyres at the start of the race as well, so that would have helped. But there is your race winner. Chris van der Drift makes it 3 from 3 for the Absolute Racing team, who have won pretty much every race, haven't they? They didn't. In race number 3 of the season, they got 0 points. There you go. Chris van der Drift gets out the car. He looks pretty reserved, to be honest. He looks relatively reserved. So yeah, they got 0 points in race number 3, but other than that, they've won every single race this season. That's the 6th win out of 7 potential races this season, then for the Absolute Racing team. So nothing but respect there. There we go. There we go. Now everyone's happy. There is Emilian Carde, who brings the car into 3rd spot in terms of the podium in at number 65. They started on the grid from 3rd position. So they finished where they started. They did get into the lead. But it was a clever decision from the Absolute Racing team and Chris van der Drift. They came into the pits 2 laps earlier than the race leaders at the time, which is the number 65. Got some clear air. Number 65 then had to deal with a lot of lap traffic. That cost them track position. And van der Drift just didn't look back. Did not look back. There is Chicotto, who just gets out of the number 11 there. They started P12. P12 to P2. As much as van der Drift has been exceptional today, I think you've got to give a shout out to Huang and Chicotto, as they've managed to go from P12 up to P2. Incredible stuff. Great scenes here, though, as van der Drift lets everyone know that he is indeed the number 1. Absolute Racing, they are the number 1. Everyone's celebrating with each other. See lots of admin being ticked there, but right now it's all about champagne and trophies. Big smiles everywhere. Lots of smiles everywhere. So in terms of race results for Absolute Racing, as I mentioned, they won the first 2 races at Sepang. And then at the Bend, in race number 3, scored 0 points DNF. In round 4, or race 4, they managed to get 15 points in a race victory. Getting a well-deserved drink there is van der Drift. And that was when they changed drivers. So earlier on in the season, of course, we had Marco Giltrap and Clay Osborne racing for Absolute Racing. Chris van der Drift then took over. But here is your official race results. So Chris van der Drift is your race winner. Jonathan Chicotto finishes in P2. Carde is in P3 with Kono in P4. Changwoo Lee and Miki Kiyama are your top 6. We've then got Poo in 7th with Lee Zhuanyu in 8th position. Jasmine Jafar in 9th. Thomas Yu Lee is in 10th. We've then got Leo Kai Shun, Jingyang He, Vincent Tai, Yasser Shahin is your top 14. In 15th, then Liang Jiatong. We've then got Song Jiajun in 16th. Boucheron finishes in 17th. Hazik Zairal, the lead of the Lamborghini Challenge cars, or the Cup cars, should I say, in 18th. Then we've got Super Chai in 19th. Stephen Chian in 20th. We've then got Chi Min Ma in 21st, and then Kenneth Lau in 22nd. There is a look at the Arrows racing car a bit further back. We will have this the podium ceremony will actually be a little bit later on, but the action will continue tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, where we'll have the second race of the weekend and race number 8 of the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia. I hope to see you then, but for now, enjoy the rest of your day.
Shakeout. Your third place, car number 75 from DW Evans GT. Done well.
And now, I would like to invite Mr. Francesco Scavalli, Region Director of Automobiles Lamborghini Asia Pacific, to present the trophy to the flowers. And the winning trophy goes to Absolute Racing. It's my honor to invite Cassie from Hankook to present the winning team trophy to the winning teams, Absolute Racing. Now everybody is photo time. Thank you everyone. Now for the first half, it is your shakeout. And now, ladies and gentlemen, now is the closing ceremony for race 1 of 2024 Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia Fuji Pro Am class. First place of Pro Am class, welcome car number 8 from Arios Racing, Sally Yarvik, Jaffa. Second place, number 56 from DW LCG, Nicholas Pertulati and Thomas E. Third place, number 6 from Magnus Racing Team, Leo Tashin and Baidu. And now it's my honor to invite Mr. Tom Castillo, Head of Sales of Automobile Lamborghini Japan, to present the trophy to the winner. And the winning team of Pro Am class goes to Arios Racing. Now let's welcome Cassie from Hankook again to present the team trophy to Arios Racing. And now it's for the time for Pro Am class. Thank you everyone. And now the current class. It is jumping time.
To the front, to the front, to the front.
Ladies and gentlemen, now we're having the podium ceremony for race 1 of 2024 Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia Fuji Round AM class. The winner of AM class, number 63 from SQDA Great Motorsport. Congratulations to Lee Chang-woo! Second place, Viking Motorsports, car number 9. Let's welcome Nathalie and the couple. Third place, car number 95, 61 Model Racing by Absolute. Congratulations to Li Shui. Now I'm going to invite Ms. Sylvia Camille of Lamborghini Super Trofeo EMEA to the trophy. And of course, the winning team of EM class is SQDA Great Motorsports. As well, Casino Hanko again defended the winning cake trophies. Now let's have Congrats everyone, now it's time for the shakeout time. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we have the podium ceremony for Lamborghini car on race 1 of the 2024 Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia Fuji Round. The winner of Lamborghini car is car number 5 from LTO 43 Racing Team by Absolute Racing. Let's welcome Haziko Harry. Second place, car number 71 from Stuttgart Cross. It is Supercharged! Third place, car number 19 from Iros Racing, Steven Chen. And now, owners, you have Miss Michio Kuhara, Managing Director of Lotus Boats Japan, to present trophies. And the winning team of Lamborghini Cup is Expert of Sports Racing Absolute Racing. As well as Cassie from Hangzhou to present the team trophies. Now it's full time for Lamborghini Cup. Let's raise the trophies. Thank you everyone. Yes, thumbs up and shopping card. And now everybody, let's come back to the podium. We have the starting opening of race 1 of 2024 Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia Fuji.